This kitty is on the People's Station. Nationwide 90 FM.
Nationwide 90 FM. Good afternoon. If you are just tuning in, to everybody that's on the road right now, please travel safe on the gravel. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for making it. Nationwide 90 FM. Good afternoon. If today is your birthday, happy birthday to you. If it's your anniversary, happy anniversary. And if you're locked and loaded to my show each and every weekday afternoon, 3 until 5 o'clock, thank you for your patronage. Thank you for lending me your ear. The hour between 4 and 5 is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints. This afternoon, I have People's National Party presidential aspirant, member of St. Andrews Southern, Mr. Mark Jefferson Golding, talking about his leadership race and what he brings to the table as the leader he wants to be, the president of the People's National Party. Mark, thank you so much for your time. You're still there.
I'm still here, Miss Kitty.
Very well. Ain't going nowhere. All right, Mark. By the way, there are a lot of people who are speculating that you're not Jamaican. Your mother not come from Jamaica. Where were you born?
I'm born here. My neighbor cut here at UC Hospital, and I've lived my whole life in Jamaica, save and except when I was studying abroad. I've never worked anywhere other than Jamaica. And I went to Mona Prep, and I went to Campton College, and then I went away and studied and did my law and did my master's. In between, I was at Norman Manley Law School for 2 years to get qualified, caused the bar and so on.
Right.
So yeah, man, I'm a Jamaican.
So you are Jamaican. Is your mom Jamaican? Is your dad? Who is Jamaican in terms of your parentage?
My father is from the United Kingdom. He came here in 1953.
Yes.
To take up a position at the University of the West Indies, and he stayed here the rest of his life until he died in 1996. My mother was from Jamaica. Her father's a Jamaican, and her mother was from the United Kingdom. Her father was a doctor as well. I come from a family of doctors, actually. Both my grandfathers, my father, and my two uncles were all doctors.
Okay, so you are from a service-driven family who has given to Jamaica. So I wanted to clear that up because, you know, when you look on social media and you hear people, if not come from Jamaica, I'm a foreigner, I come in, it's a real, you understand? So I want to make sure, for the purposes of my listeners and viewers, we get that out clear. And speaking about social media, Mark, you know, social media has played a very integral part in the marketing of politicians of late. Do you think social media, politics on social media has propelled or has hindered politicians in terms of their ability to touch lives on the ground in real life?
That's a great question, Ms. Kitty. I mean, I think many politicians, especially the older ones, have taken a while to embrace social media. I think as it's become more pervasive and more central to the way in which people communicate, especially young people, more and more politicians have found it necessary to familiarize themselves with it and begin to use it effectively as a tool. I think it's part of the arsenal of communication effectively with the people, your constituents and the wider public, but it's not the full picture. I think there's nothing to replace going on the ground, pressing flesh, as I say, meeting people and exchanging direct conversations with people face to face as well. So
yes.
But it's a very important part of communicating with the public and presenting yourself to the public.
It is said that Lisa Hanna is more popular than you. You know, she has her beauty queen, history. She is very popular on social media. It is being said that she's popular among the delegates. How do you plan to match Lisa Hanna's popularity? And what would you say is your superpower and advantage that you have as Mark Golding?
Well, up until putting myself forward in this presidential race, I was really not seeking to project a national image. My social media activity was really focused on my constituency and showing the people what I've been up to, the different activities and so on, and communicating with them. Since deciding to put myself forward for the presidency of the party, I have definitely raised my profile, both in the media, as we're doing now,
yes,
but also in social media as well. And I think that it is bearing fruit, and I believe that the polls will show that. The poll that was taken before I had actually even put myself forward, and I wasn't really considered, I think, at that time to be somebody who was seeking national office. In terms of what my my allure to the electorate would be, I would say, just the realness of my personality, somebody who's a man of substance, somebody who is competent and honest and has the best interest of the people at heart, and somebody who's relatable because I'm not arrogant, I'm a respectful person, and I treat everybody as equally worthy to me. So, it's just a question of the realness of the man.
Yes. And so for some persons, again, they didn't know you. They saw you as a parliamentarian. Talk to me about some of your achievements, Mark, in terms of being in Parliament for 13 years now in the party. Talk to me about some of what you have achieved and what you have done.
Well, I was the Minister of Justice under Portia Simpson Miller. I was responsible for the legislative program of the government at the time. It was a very heavy and difficult program because we were in an IMF agreement that required major structural reforms.
Yes.
And I was set the task of ensuring that all of the legislative changes that had to be done were delivered on time. And I achieved that, and we passed every test, and we basically restructured the Jamaican economy and put it on a footing where it is now poised to take off once, we get past this COVID problem. So that was an important achievement. I've also been involved in social legislation. I brought the legislation, I conceptualized and developed the legislation for the decriminalization of ganja in Jamaica. And that meant that nobody could be arrested or charged or get a criminal record or taken to court for having a small quantity of ganja for their personal use. And we also expunged the records of thousands of Jamaicans who had previously been fined for a split or a draw weed. And that has enabled thousands of Jamaicans to travel because previously they couldn't get visas, and also to work in the public sector and other places which previously did not allow persons with a criminal record to be employed. That was an uplifting piece of social legislation that I regard as one of my important achievements for the country.
Yes.
Apart from that, I've been the treasurer of the party in 2009. I was the one who ensured that the party produced proper financial records, got them audited. I think we were the first political party to produce and publish audited financial statements. And that was very important because it showed transparency in our dealings and enabled us to garner support from the business community and others who would like to see the transparency and good governance that we were displaying. And of course, in the election that followed, in 2011, we won by a landslide and won 42 seats out of 63. That was another, I think, significant achievement of mine.
Very
and
well.
in the last election,
yes,
September 3rd, I won, I think, by the biggest margin of any PNP MP who was elected or re-elected and got the most PNP votes of any candidate in the last general election. And I think that's a reflection of the way in which I've managed my constituency and the service I've given to the people of South St. Andrew.
Well, I'm happy that you brought that up, Mark, because that was going to be my next question. So it's a good segue because the PNP got a thrashing on September 3 from the Jamaica Labour Party, only being able to retain 14 seats. And that was like a landslide. How will a Mark Golding-led PNP go up against or match up against an Andrew Holness-led JLP, which right now has presented a very fortified, cohesive leadership to the PNP's fragmented, divided party?
Well, we have to get our act together as a party, and I think the first thing we have to do is accept the importance of unity in the party. We've had several years now of division, internal division arising from internal contests for leadership. And I think the time has come where I think people realize that to assure the future of the party, we have to resolutely decide that we're going to embrace the idea of unity and as the PNP as one family moving forward together. And I intend to lead that charge. And in fact, in the campaign that I'm conducting now, which I've tried to make a respectful campaign which only speaks highly of my own achievements and tries to present myself as a candidate rather than trying to tear anybody else down.
Yes.
In my own team that I've built, I have many persons in the senior echelons of the team who were not on the same side as me in the contest last year, for example. So I think that shows the propensity, the capacity to build unity in the party. So my campaign chairman, my communications person, my person in Region 3, my road manager, my person anchoring St. Catherine, and many others are all persons who were not on the same side as me last year. So what it shows is that those persons recognize in me somebody who can unite the party and who's worthy of support.
Yes. Well,
That's one aspect.
yes. Well, because I'm happy that you said arising, because that's my, you keep hitting the words, because there are some people, Mark, in some quarters who still see you as part of the divisive, part that took place in the whole riser, and see you as part of the divisive train that helped to, destabilize the party. And some people are even saying that, okay, Mark Golding is a Peter Bunting riser who is just running that whole Rise campaign. How do you respond to that?
Well, I was part of that campaign last year, a Democratic Party, and as we contested for leadership, Peter Bunting at least contested for leadership. I supported him at the time. He's an old friend of mine. We've been in business together. He's somebody who I respect and have loyalty to him, and I supported him in that effort. But once it ended, then as far as I was concerned, it ended, I think, 7th of September 2019.
Yes.
That was the end of the matter as far as I was concerned. And what the effort had to now be was to try and pull everybody back together. I don't think the party handled the healing process very well, but I was an agent trying to improve that and working with others who saw a similar need for it that I did. And we had various meetings, and over time we made certain adjustments, and we became more cohesive at the leadership level. But I think the healing at the lower levels of the party was still a matter that needed further work.
Right.
That I think has to continue going forward, because we really need to put that behind us. I've said it repeatedly in this kitty that as far as I'm concerned, the rise and the one PNP era is over. That is a matter of history, and we're now entering a new era, and it's a new era that must be built up with one PNP family moving forward with a common purpose.
Like that. In terms of attracting young, vibrant persons to be a part of the PNP right now, because of the mudslinging and the character assassination that we've all witnessed on social media, a lot of people are afraid to get involved, because it's almost as if the internal fighting, and when it goes bad, a lot of dirty laundry is aired in public. And so a lot of young people are not attracted to the PNP because they don't want to be the next victim. Because as an outsider looking in, I'm saying, but wait, if them can do them own, so imagine what they will do to me. How will a Mark Golding led People's National Party, attract young, vibrant persons to want to be a part of the party, to serve their country, and as well as to put things in place to mitigate against that kind of mudslinging and that kind of annihilation in public?
Well, in my own constituency, I have really tried to empower and encourage the YO, the youth organization of the party, to be as strong as possible. And I think we have the strongest PNP YO of any constituency in Jamaica. We have over 150 active members, and they're included in everything I do, and I regard them as a very important part of my political organization. I enjoy and benefit from the creative energy and imagination of young people. And I think that they are not just the future, as I've been saying, but they're very much part of the present. And as a leader of the party, I want to adopt a similar approach in terms of the national PNPYO, and really to try and bring them up and include them as much as possible in the decision-making and the messaging and the policy development and so on, so that the party can be seen by Jamaicans, especially young people, as one that is embracing young people, listening to young people, engaging with young people, affairs that resonate with young people. I think this is very important. In terms of the tearing down on social media and so on, which really is a problem, I agree. We need to adopt a code of conduct. One has been already presented to the party. We need to formally adopt it and implement it. And that code of conduct will have in it protocols about how we deal with the public.
Yes.
And we don't show the person to not bring the party into disrepute. And we need to abide by that. And, although I'm preaching the message of respect and love and bringing forward love to the party, the truth is that we also need some tough love sometimes to violate those principles. And there must be sanctions. The organs of the party include structures for dealing with these matters, and we need to make them work as they were designed to work, so that we have a change in the overall culture of the party in relation to dirty linen in public.
Yes. Mark, tell me, do you have the support of the outgoing PNP president, Dr. Peter Phillips?
I have not inquired after that. I believe he is remaining neutral. That is the tradition in the party, that the current leader, whoever that person is, doesn't get involved in these contests, but rather remains, as it were, on the outside of it looking in, and if necessary can play a role as an honest broker and so on. So as far as I don't know what his personal opinion internally is. I haven't asked him that, because my assumption is that he's staying out of it.
Has Portia Simpson Miller called you, or PJ Patterson, or any of the past leaders to support you?
Myself and Portia Simpson Miller are very close. I was somebody she brought me into the Senate. I came into the PNP really because of her. And she made me her treasurer, she made me her Minister of Justice. And I've always supported her. When she was challenged in 2008, I thought that I should support her. She had put me in the Senate, and I owed her that. So, I believe she's very supportive of my candidacy. She was supportive of my candidacy when I was running for South St. Andrew. And indeed, when I was victorious there in 2016 for the chairmanship, she came to the celebratory function at the Tony Spalding complex and blessed me, so to speak. Comrade PJ Patterson is somebody who I've got to know more and more in recent times. He, again, is playing an important role in trying to manage the process and ensure that it doesn't descend into anything that would be damaging to the party. So I believe he's trying to maintain a neutral stance as well. But I would say that he's supportive of me, and he has encouraged me over the years to project myself more and to bring myself forward. So I think he sees the leadership potential that I have.
Very well. You spoke about the Fairclough Fund at your launch. Talk to me about some of the other, policies in your manifesto, if you may, that the delegates would find to be very alluring, as well as policies that would impact the average Jamaican at large.
Well, in terms of what we need to do in the party, as I've already said, unity is key, and we can't move forward without embracing it in a deliberate way. But apart from that, we need to really strengthen the organization of the party. There was a time when the PNP was known for its formidable organization, but I think as time has gone by, that has changed. And we saw instances in the last election where the JLP could bring in candidates at the last minute who the electorate didn't even know, and end up winning in seats where those MPs have served well in many instances. So that shows that we have a lot of organizational work to do. And Norman Manley's mantra was always organize, organize, organize. So the base of the party, which is really the party group, that needs to be revitalized. I think we need to provide support to groups in terms of training and political education and lifestyle skills. We need to incentivize them to be active in the communities by prizes and so on for the best community work, and generally revitalize the groups on the base of the party so that the communities in which they live can see the PNP on the ground being alive and well.
Yes.
We also, I think, need to strengthen the communications aspect of the party, and that includes becoming formidable in digital channels and really bringing young people more into the communication capacity of the party, so that we're communicating in a way that resonates with the younger electorate, where we are definitely not as strong as we should be. And then there's the whole question of the finances of the party, which is fundamental, because as an organization, a political organization, you cannot run without resources.
Very well, yes.
Yeah.
And also, I'm happy that you said that, Mark, because one of the key words or watch phrases that has been used by many persons in the PNP, they've said, the JLP, the Labour, they've outspending them because their money enough and their money turn up. And right about now, it's like PNP broke, couldn't have nothing over there. Is that so?
Well, the truth is that the JLP was much more heavily resourced than us in the last election. That's for sure.
So how a man like you then, Mark, with your resources, your billionaire friends, trillionaire friends, how can you attract the resources that the People's National Party will need to be able to combat the tactics and the qualities, that Andrew Holness is projecting right now?
Well, I think that as we get our act together and we start to show a more united face and we rebuild our organization, and I think we also need to develop our message and the policy program that we're going to project in a way that will resonate with Jamaicans who are feeling the effects of the Andrew Holness-led government and see that we are offering solutions to real problems, which the JLC are not choosing to address. And I think when we get our messaging right and we communicate effectively, then I believe people will see us as a viable alternative, and then raising money will be that much easier, especially if the leader of the party is somebody who is trusted and has a good network of connections in the business community professionally and so on. But we also need to try and broaden the financial base of the party, and that will include reaching out to the diaspora, where we have many supporters in the main diaspora centers around the world, and indeed even some crowdfunding that would allow working class persons who support the party to make a contribution if they wish.
Yes. And the Fairclough $50 million fund, talk to us about that. Some people are saying $50 million mark that a chicken feed. It should come with all 50. Come on, $50 million.
Well, $15 million is a good start, and I hope it will be the East that will allow that fund to grow to become a much bigger fund as other people come on board and support it. The idea there is to try and provide some means by which party workers who have served the party for a long time, many of them, and their living conditions are not quite what they should be, can get some support from the party, and that will show their families and show the community that we are a caring organization that looks after our own. And the idea is to put that trust fund in place, have it properly governed with reputable trustees and a benefits committee drawn from across Jamaica, the different regions, to ensure equity and fairness in how the benefits are distributed. So the $15 million is just the start, but I anticipate that it will grow substantially and become a very important part of the party's life going forward. And as I said, whether I'm successful or not, on the 7th of November, I intend to start that fund as my legacy to the party.
Many see you as a brilliant mind, a very successful attorney at law, commercial law. Many see you as a successful businessman, entrepreneur, coming into the party as well and making your valuable contribution. How can that though, and how will that or those attributes translate into leading Jamaica in the same way as if you are to be elected leader or president rather of the PNP?
Well, I think the People's National Party has always been a party of intellectual activity and brilliance. I mean, our first leader was Norman Washington Manley, one of the great minds of Jamaica, the top lawyer of his day. Michael Manley was a brilliant man. He wrote many important books and was one of the most eloquent speakers of his generation and regarded as a leader of the third world when he was there. P.J. Patterson is another brilliant man as well, and has recently written his own memoirs, but is generally acknowledged as one of the top persons in the developing world when it came to foreign affairs and so on, and was recognized in many, many countries. So we have that tradition. We've also had leaders who were more grassroots-oriented, like Sister P, who had the love of the people. She was brilliant in her own way as well. And, of course, Dr. Peter Phillips, who is a strong intellect and a very wise and astute political leader.
Yes.
So that is, I think, we are accustomed to having persons who can, in leadership, who can analyze situations, can handle themselves well, understand policy issues, understand what I bring to the table is a strong understanding of the Constitution and the laws of Jamaica, the legislative process, the governance systems by which Jamaica is run, and also finance and economics, which is an area that I've had exposure to in my professional and business life, and in which I'm interested. I think these are important attributes for a leader because in terms of policy development and communication and defending policy, you need to have somebody who understands the issues and can articulate them effectively. But it's not just about that. It's also more importantly about your caring touch and the way in which you relate to people and how you bring yourself across, and whether the ordinary, everyday Jamaican person can look by you and say, yeah, the man they real, that man is a caring man and be a supporter man. And I believe I have that. In South St. Andrew, that has really been a testing ground for it. And I have developed a very strong relationship with people at South St. Andrew, and I'm very comfortable with the inner city people, and I'm comfortable in rural Jamaica as well, and people, I think, relate to me and the vibes that I bring when I'm around them and the way in which I approach them and deal with them. So yes, I think that I have the qualities that a leader of the PNP ought to have at this time, and that's why I'm putting myself forward. It's really out of a sense of duty to my country and to the vehicle of change which I choose to have joined, which is the People's National Party. It formed in 1938. It brought the adult right to vote. It brought independence to the country. It brought the social reforms of the 1970s, which are still so significant, and many institutions that are helping everyday Jamaicans. And the National Workers Union, I want to pick up the union as well.
Yes.
And the working class is, a very fundamental part of what we represent. And I look forward to working closely with the union and to strengthen the union going forward. So that, because I do think the worker is a fundamental part of the stakeholder. We are a class alliance in the People's National Party. We represent and appeal to all levels of society for persons who really have Jamaica's best interest at heart. But our focus has always been on uplifting the masses of the people, and the working class is a very important part of that.
And speaking about working, if you were to win and be elected leader and president of the People's National Party, would you be working with Lisa Hanna?
Of course. Yes, man. Lisa is my friend, and I've worked with Lisa in the past, and I look forward to working with her closely in the future, whatever happens on the 7th.
Yes, and vice versa. If she wins, would you, and she says, Mark, I want you on my team, would you be willing to work with her?
Absolutely. I certainly would, because it's all about rebuilding the party. This is not about Mark Golding and my ego or my ambition, right? That is not at play here. I'm quite comfortable with, who I am and what I've achieved, and I just want to serve the country, and I want to help rebuild the party, because I honestly believe that Jamaica needs a strong People's National Party, and I believe that when we do what we have to do, we will be irresistible and we'll get back into government.
Why should the delegates vote on November 7 for Mark Golding and not Lisa Hanna to be the next president of the People's National Party? Why should the delegates go with Golding?
They should go with Golding because he's the man who has what it takes right now to do the things that need to be done to make the party strong and powerful and bring us back to Jamaica House.
All right. Very succinct, articulate. Thank you so very much, Mark. Thank you for your time. And thank you for being candid and, of course, open with us right here on Miss Kitty Live. We wish you all the best. And, of course, we'll be definitely watching with a keen eye. And whatever the results are on that day, then we will speak afterwards. But please travel safely. Thanks again for sharing with us. And all the best to you, your team, and your family.
Thank you so much, Miss Kitty. It's been a pleasure to be with you, the great fluffy.
Thank you so very much. And you know what? Like I'm saying, I went to collect my LEC today, and I'm like, oh wow, and I have Mark Golding today. I'm like, yay! You see that coinky dinky? You know what I mean?
Yeah, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All the best to Mark. Travel safely. One love, respect every time. Nationwide 90 FM. Mark Jefferson Golding, my very special guest right here on Nationwide 90 FM.